Okay, welcome to this session on supporting systematic reviews part 2. So welcome back to those who attended part 1 where we looked at searching for results in support of systematic reviews. Now today, this 6-minute webinar will introduce options for managing those search results after searching the literature on CINAHL and MEDLINE, so either database, in support of such reviews. So this session will look at available options, and that includes the ability to save and download references, searches, etc., and also exporting items as well to the likes of Endnote, RefWorks, and so on. So in case anyone wasn't on part 1 or not attended one of my sessions before, just to introduce myself, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team as a senior customer training specialist based here in the UK. I support typically customers in the UK, Ireland, and also the Nordics as well. And we have other colleagues in Europe, of course, who also support your needs if you're outside of those territories. So I'm a chartered librarian, having been now with EBSCO for 14 years, and prior to that worked as a medical librarian or related roles in the NHS in England for 12 years. So welcome back to part 2 for those who are on part 1, and welcome to those who have not been on this session before. So I hope that in terms of the training objectives, you'll be able to save, download, and share search results by the end of this session on the new interface. So we are looking at the new EBSCOhost. Some of you have migrated to that already, others may not have done, but this is going to be focused on the new interface for CINAHL MEDLINE, the same platform, EBSCOhost. You'll be able to export results in RIS or RS and related formats into bibliographic software. You'll be able to save searches for future reference as well. And also you'll be able to create projects and add searches and results. Also, you'll be able to find further support for managing searches and results in EBSCOhost. So I've included some key links to documentation in the PowerPoint, which of course you will have a copy post session. I'll also direct you to the EBSCO Connect site, which also has tutorials, handouts, other user guides, etc. So I hope that's what you're expecting from the session. Of course, if there's anything else that may not be covered directly here, then please do let me know. We may need to follow up offline, but of course, if you've got other elements from your experience of using the interface that you'd like to raise, then please feel free to do that, and I'll endeavour to answer your question or respond later as needed. Okay, so just to give you an initial introduction to some of the elements of the new interface in respect to CINAHL MEDLINE, and although I may focus on CINAHL specifically, the application will also be appropriate to MEDLINE as well. So the first thing relates to saving items within the interface. So this is obviously the results page. You can see the screenshot, and then you can actually select individual records, or you can select up to 50 results per page. Now that is going to change. So that is currently being reviewed. So that amount of records to be saved per page will change in due course. So we're just waiting for more information on that. So currently you can save up to 50 records per page by selecting the appropriate tick box there. And then obviously you can select 1 to 50, okay, at one time. But again, that's going to increase to a larger amount in the coming weeks, months. I'm not sure how long that will take yet, but that is under review. I know it's been asked for, been requested in the past. So it's now under consideration, serious consideration. Okay, so you should see that applied in due course on the new interface. So you can select these results, and then that will be saved to the default save folder. So you have these bookmark icons next to each item in the result list. You can save, of course, individual records, as well as save a batch of 50 records at one time if necessary. So once those are saved, they are saved in the save folder, which is on the dashboard on the left-hand column. And you'll note here in this particular, so you can see the save link there highlighted under my dashboard. And then you'll notice also that you have the option to create a MyEBSCO account. So if you want to save items beyond the duration of the session, so you can save them here for the time you're in that session, but after 24 hours, you'll be signed off, as it were, or if you close the browser, you'll then lose those records. So essentially, then you have the option to create a MyEBSCO account, and that will allow you to save records and also searches beyond the session, etc. Okay, so if you have an account already created, maybe use other databases on the EBSCO's platform, then you can sign in, and also those records will be saved beyond the session. Otherwise, you can create your own account as needed. Okay, and used it immediately, essentially. Now, in addition to saving items, whether you bookmark them from the result list page or select the page of results, you can also download as well. So you can download the records metadata. So you can see a little icon there and you can select that, and that will then allow you to download the selected results. Okay, so that will then open up a dialog box, and you have the choice of format. So by default, it's PDF, but you've also got Word format, CSV, BibTeX as well for those who work in academia. So again, a variety of formats to download the metadata of these records as well. So obviously, if you're collating documentation results for your evidence search, then it allows you to generate the appropriate list. So you may be creating a Word document with the literature search results, then obviously you can add those through this listing as well. In addition to that, so you can see the metadata only formats are highlighted there. You can switch to the appropriate one if PDF is not preferred, and then you can download, and that will open up the particular file. Once you've saved it, it will open up for you to review. Now, you can also share results as well. So whether individual records or a list of records, you can choose the share icon, which is the arrow that you see highlighted there at the top of the screen on this screenshot. That will then in turn give you this box, and then you have the option to save these records or share these records in Google Drive or OneDrive if preferred. Okay, so again, that option is there. And notice you also have the email option as well. So you can share records via email from this box as well. That will then open up the option to enter your email address or the email address of recipients. Now, if the item or items that you save or share via email have full text, by that we mean PDF or online full text available through EBSCO, through the EBSCOhost platform, then those will also be sent as an attached file as well. So if you want to share one specific record that is exactly what the user is looking for, then obviously, or as an example of what you found, then that would include the full text where appropriate as well. So again, you just send accordingly. Okay, now in addition to that, and of course you will be particularly interested to know, especially in support of cited reviews, you can export a large quantity of records from the result list. So although currently you can save up to 50 to the save folder, etc., and that will increase, as I mentioned, when you are dealing with hundreds, if not thousands of records, which will be screened later, then we do support the exporting to the likes of Endnote, etc. So you can see here we have a tick box there. You can select the items, and then you can choose from the drop-down menu the option to export results up to 25,000. So in one session, you can export up to 25,000 records from the result list. You can also, within a 24-hour period, export up to 100,000 records. So you may be doing other searches, of course, as well on the same platform and the same database. So we have this tools menu also, by the way, just to let you know, there is an additional option to export records, and some may prefer this. So you can go to the site tool on the right. So the three dots there, we call it the kebab menu sometimes. And there's the export option tab. And then you can select your preferred, export. So it's to RefWorks, Endnote, etc. You can use that option. Okay, so that can be used for individual records, and within the save folder can also be used for collated records as well. So it's possible to either use the link that you see initially highlighted to export up to 25,000 records, and that will just literally send you a link to download the results. And if you are not signed into my EBSCO, which we'll talk about in a moment, then you would need to be signed in. So for those who work in the NHS, maybe somewhat listen to the recording later time, in England, you have EBSCO single sign-on, which means that you're already synchronized with your MyEBSCO personal user account. So it means you don't need to sign in again. If you're outside the NHS and you don't have EBSCO single sign-on, when you click export results up to 25,000, it will prompt you to sign in as a personal user. Okay, and likewise, again, if you want to save results beyond the session, you'll need to be signed into MyEBSCO in any case. Okay, we generally recommend signing into the folder beforehand before you start searching in any case. But again, for those in NHS England, they've got EBSCO single sign-on, so it's done automatically for them. Okay, now we'll cover all these things live, by the way, but I just want to give you the heads up of this just so you can see what that will look like, and then we'll see the live version of this all. With the search history now available, and we'll see that again shortly, there is also the option to download that search from this particular page from the results list. You can see here we've got the sets selected, and then you'll notice that in a moment the search history is there, of course. And by default, when you run the search history is hidden in the background. When you select search history, it will display. And then you can download up to 500 lines. sets, as it were. Okay, so the limit at the moment is 500. So I've got just 7 sets there up to about S1 to 7, and I can download that, and I can download it in a variety of formats, including PDF, Word, and CSV, as well as rich text as well. So again, those options are available. That will be presented in another dialog box, and you can choose the format from that menu, as you see there. If you want a table, if you want a spreadsheet of the actual search rather than a traditional Word document or text file, then you can choose the CSV format for that. And of course, download, and that will be available. So that's just the initial introduction to those features, which I want to go through live, but just make sure that you can see what the functionality is there now for the new interface. Again, whether you're using CINAHL or MEDLINE, those features will be available for you. Now, one thing to note here is that if you've recently migrated or transitioned to the platform, or maybe even back in August you did, this feature, the search history feature, was released in October. So some of you may not yet have that enabled. It's just something that needs to be switched on in EBSCO Experience Manager, one of the 2 admin tools to administer the interface. And that includes making sure you've got the advanced search page. You may be defaulted to that, and also the search history will be displayed. So again, if you do not see some of the things that you see today in this demonstration, let us know, and you may need to talk to your EBSCO account team, but some of these things will just need to be enabled for you as you see appropriate. But you may be waiting for a session like this to see how that works before deciding whether you want that displayed or not. Okay, so I'm going to go to live demonstration. So I'm going to go straight to my desktop. You should see now is the search history open within CINAHL. This is the search that we ran actually in the previous session on adult cancer patients experiencing fatigue, and the comparison between looking at meditation. Let's see, so looking at meditation, etc., to improve the quality of life for these patients, etc. So again, we've got the search here. I've got 16 sets here, and you can see I've got a final set here. I've applied filters to this search for the past 10 years, and also adult patients as well. So I've got my results here, and at this stage, of course, I may be looking at those results. So I'm going to go through, and you can see here on this page, and this is again the new interface, and this is the new feature released in October, where you have your search rows still visible, and the search history is below. And then below that, you have the result list. So you have on the single page, essentially, the search boxes, the search history, and the results. And of course, you can hide the search history. So we'll do that just for now and focus on the results that we have here. So we've got our results, 179 altogether in this first search, if you like. And then we'll look at how to process them. So again, I mentioned at the beginning, the ability to save multiple records from one page. If you select the tick box here, that will select all of them. And then you can select up to 50 here. Okay, so you can set 1 to 50. Okay, and so you can see only 50 can be selected at one time. Okay, so any records that you save, which I'll do there now, would be stored in the save folder. If I go to my column under my dashboard now and check saved, you'll see they're now saved here. Okay, so against what we saw earlier. And again, you could go through this list, and also we'll talk more about projects a bit later. But as I mentioned, if you want to save these items beyond the session, which most likely you would like to do, and also if you want to download the search history later, then you need to be signed in here. So if you don't have a personal account, then you can create one from this menu here. Okay, we do support Google Sign In, by the way, and then simply you need to put your first name. Last name is not required, it is optional. Email address, of course, and you create the password and note the criteria below for that. The final step is to agree for EBSCO to collect the necessary data, specific data for use with a MyEBSCO account, etc. And there's our privacy policy for more information about what data we're using, etc. And then you can create the account. Once you've done this, you can use it straight away by going to sign in here, and then enter your credentials. And I'm hoping I'm still signing into my VPN at this stage. And that should then take you back to the save folder. The original placard, encourage you to sign in, is now disappeared. And we've got results plus additional results from other searches. So again, we'll talk about projects where you can differentiate the result lists from different searches and set up your own folders a bit later. But again, you will just see those results there. Okay, so we'll go back to the search itself. So just go back here, and I'll just do a shortcut to get to the results page. Okay, So that's the initial saving of a list of records. And obviously with 50 per page, you have to go to the next page and so on. That will change in due course. If you are looking to save individual records, now I'm just going to remove these ones, by the way. So you can see the bookmark icon next to each of these items. So you can just select the bookmark icon. You can also go in to the detailed record itself, and you can save from here as well. Okay, so you have that option to save items. Now, while we're on this page as well, if you want to share an individual item, and this is particularly useful and relevant to our search, it's also current as well. So therefore, we can use the other tools as well. So for example, I mentioned, let's see, sharing here. Actually, let's go to download first. You can download this record here, select the download icon, which you'll see throughout both for individual records and the result list. PDF is the default, but you can switch to Word here, click download, and then save that file. And if I open up, you'll see what that looks like in Word, as I just need to drag that across from my other monitor. So I'm just going to drag this across. So this is the Word format for a downloaded record, so the metadata for this journal article. Okay, you see the subjects there, the abstract, of course, etc. as well, and the link as well, the persistent link to the record itself, etc. So again, that's the formatting in Word for an individual record that you see there. And as I mentioned, you also have the share option here as well. So you can save this to Google Drive, OneDrive. You can also create a link, a persistent link to this record as well, and copy that to your clipboard and post that in the Teams chat, message, email, etc. Or you can use the email option here, and you could forward the article via email. Click send here. Okay, so these are tools that can be used for individual records or a result list. So if we go to the result list again, and this time if I select these results here, I can choose the share option, and I can again share via Google Drive, OneDrive, or I can email here as well, which is now, I know what I did there, sorry, just clicked the wrong thing. Bear with me. Okay, so again, email is there, and you can add your email address. Again, you would allow, you can send those records with that list, those list of items. And again, the cite tool here, you can copy the citation, by the way. And you'll note here, the default reference style I've got is Harvard, but you can change that again in EBSCO Experience Manager, or actually I think it's EBSCO Admin currently. So we have two tools for administering the platform right now. EBSCO Admin is the traditional classic admin tool, and EBSCO Experience Manager is the future and is also currently used at the moment. So again, we won't be covering that in detail today, but just to let you know. But in these tools, you can change the default settings. So if you're working with APA databases, for example, we've got APA 7th edition. If Chicago or Vancouver is your preferred format, then it can be set by default for those formats. Now, we know there are variations. For example, there are a number of variations with the Harvard referencing, and I know those who work in the NHS in England will be aware of that. So it does give an indication for users as to how to reference the item that you're viewing, etc. And also the items, of course, they're looking at more than one item here. You can copy it all to the clipboard, and those references would be listed with that reference style. Okay. So again, those options are there. So, and again, if you want to download the complete list of results here, you see the download icon, you click that. Again, the choice of formats are there. So Word, CSV, BibTeX, etc. And then you download, and you can then save that and view the list. Okay, so a variety of formats there. So that's the initial saving of records. Now, again, each of the tools menus are there as well for individual records from the result list. You can cite, share, download individual records as well if you're not intent on downloading the complete list, as it were. Although in supporting assistant review, it's typically that you may be processing a larger quantity of records. One thing I note here that I need to point out too is that I'm only showing 10 records per page at this time. I can show 50 here. Okay, so again, you may have wondered why it's only going to email 10 records. It's because that number had not changed that setting there. Okay, so by default, again, you can change the setting to show the maximum number of records per page, which is currently 50 within EBSCO Experience Manager. So it doesn't have to be 10 as it's showing on this demonstration at the moment. Okay, so I just switched to 50. So it can be changed in the course of the session. Now, I also want to mention, obviously, I've got relevance showing. So it's, it's showing the most relevant records for this search, for this query. You can change the most recent as well. So if you prefer the most recent records, I know clinical staff often like to see what's most recent, most current. Sometimes it is the most relevant, sometimes it's not. But again, you'll see, for example, this one is a sitter review, December 2025. So again, very current, etc. And now others there as well. But may not be still related to cancer patients. Obviously, with the search we ran, we didn't specify the type of cancer. So again, it could be generic, as it were. Okay, so the next thing to show you really is the export option. So I'm going to check something here. So we're now looking at exporting. So in terms of exporting, then again, the initial thing you may want to do, and I'm going to go back to relevance here, you may want to export from the result list. So you may not even save any items at this stage. You may just, click the export option. So for that, again, as we saw in the PowerPoint, just select these and choose the drop down, and you'll see export results up to 25,000. So it doesn't have to be anywhere near that. I've got less than 180, but I can still export them. So I can enter my name. If there are additional recipients, I can add them there. And then I can choose the preferred format. Now, XML is the default, but you've got RIS here, and I can click send. When you do that, and as I'm already signed in, it's not going to prompt me to sign in. It would if you're not signed into your personal user account. It will then confirm a link to download metadata for your results will arrive in the inbox. Okay, that will then be valid for up to 7 days. So I have 7 days to click that link and extract that metadata and import into my preferred software. So it's Endnote, RefWorks, Zotero, etc. Okay, so again, you have the option to download 25,000 records at one time from the result list, as you see there, and that can be used multiple times during a 24-hour period, but with a maximum of 100,000 records exported through this platform. Okay, so again, you could be using CINAHL, you may then switch to MEDLINE, etc. Okay. Now, again, you have the option to use the other option, which I know some prefer not to receive the link. Some have had issues with this. So there's also the other option, which is the cite tool here. I think this is the one. And this it is. So it's export citation. And you can see you've got export in RIS format. So you can generate the file this way, or RefWorks, Endnote, Web, etc. So you have those options also available. So if I click export in RIS format, it will simply save the file to my OneDrive, as it were, and I can access that and obviously, open that in the preferred software as needed. So that is an alternative to using the obviously the export result list, but obviously you're going to take longer to process those records because you're limited to the number that you can view at one time, etc. But again, you may want to just do that from the saved folder. So if we go back to the save folder here, so we come to the records tab under saved, and then again, you can download those records if necessary, and you can export from here. Okay, so again, you can see the choice of formats if preferred. Okay, so we will come to projects, but I want to go back to the search itself as well. So let me just do a shortcut here and go back to the search. So that's saving records with individual and exporting, of course, downloading a complete list and so on. But then you may even get to the stage before you even do that, possibly, to save the search itself. So obviously some of these searches can be much longer. We have got much longer searches that we could run on this. So I've got one, I think it's about 65 lines strategy, which I won't demonstrate today. But obviously with these results, we may want to just review this. And what I'll do here, because I'm rerunning it, is basically just repeated these steps. So I'm just going to remove these ones, by the way. So you can go into individual lines of a search, as we saw in the previous session, and delete, and you can also edit the search as well. So before you save it or download it, you might want to go in and look at one of these sets, go into the edit search details, click edit search, and you can make changes here. Okay, so you may want to change the truncation, add other terms, and then rerun them if you need to. You click update search. But just to point out again that you can edit the individual sets as well before you save the search or download it as well. So if you spot any errors or if you've come up with additional terms, you can do that. Again, on a resort, notice the search is typically displayed in reverse chronological order. So we've got X16 now at the top. So I can resort this, and I want to save in this way. So I want to just now select, and I can download here. And you'll see again the choice of formats, PDF, Word, etc. Again, CSV if you want a table of the search history in a spreadsheet format. So that'll be suitable for Excel, of course. Then you can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go for RTF, which tends to, compared to Word, tends to group the sets, condenses the sets much more effectively at this time. So I'm going to use this option and then open this up. So I'm just going to let me just open this up now, and I'll just hide. You can see it now. So this is the EBSCO export. This is the downloaded search history that we've just viewed online, and you can see the original query. So that's user-centered, so what I entered. So that's a XB title or abstract field search, and using truncation, the hash wildcard, etc., and so on. Gives us the expanded query where appropriate, when it was run, so the date and time, and also the results, the hit count, the search mode and the expanders that may be applicable, the interface and the database itself. So useful for reporting purposes. And then you have the equivalent subject headings there, MH there. And then when combined, you'll see the expanded query details that there, okay, for each set. So you have the user-centered entered query, which is what we entered. And then you have the expanded query, which is especially when you have combined sets, it's, they're spelled out, as it were. You get the complete details. For example, S5 or S4, it's actually these terms that are combined. So it's very clear, and so on. So see, this document is available, and obviously you can cut and paste that, edit that, whatever you need to do with it. Okay. So that's the search there. Okay. So again, if you've got any questions or comments, if you've used these features already, it would be good to hear from you. We feed back to our product management teams, other colleagues at EBSCO. So, we can forward any comments, questions that you may have that we may not be able to answer today. But that is the download option for the search history. So in addition to that, you can save the search above the result list. If you scroll down, you'll see we've got the tools menu again, and we have the option to save search and create the alerts. So if I click save search here, then it defaults to the actual search string, the final search string, and you can see that complete listed here. So you can copy that to the clipboard and rerun it, etc., which I won't do now. But you can also change this. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm just going to call it adult. In fact, you can see I've done this before, and I'll just put 01/26 just to differentiate it. So it's January. And if you want to make any comments about the search, maybe there's some other things you need to follow up, maybe it's simply who this search is for, etc., you can add information in the description field. You got a 300 character limit there, but you can make use of for free text here for any comments or observations that you need to add there. And once you've changed the search name, of course, or added comments, you need to save this. If you just scroll down, so all the queries, subqueries are there, and then save this. You'll see the confirmation on the screen that the save search has been created, and it's also available from the save page within my dashboard. So click close, and just wait for that to go back to the original page. Again, search is still there. Again, you can hide it in the background if you need to. We need to focus on the results, as it were, as you see there. But if we now go to the left-hand column for my dashboard, you click saved here, and you'll see the first tab, of course, is the records, which you looked at earlier, and the second one is searches. Okay, and you can see we've got this one listed here. I've got other searches as well that I've run previously. Now, and also another thing to note here, so this is saved. Notice it's the time is there. The final set of results are given, the hit count, plus also the filters, which is part of the publication date filter for the past 10 years, the age group filter for all adults, the search mode proximity, and the expander applied subjects is also given. You can go in and check the search details, and we'll talk about adding to the project in a moment. Okay. One thing I also want to mention here as well is the recent activities. So we've been seeing, and we've seen the search history displayed. Again, that's now live, that's available. It just needs to be enabled in the admin tool. But under recent activity, it also tracks the search itself. So you can see we've got the 16 set numbers, and I can resort these to the oldest. So it's still tracking the search history under recent activity, as well as the search history on the advanced search page. So again, you can see the query strings, the hit counts and so on, and then scrolling down you'll see the application of filters also here as well. And you can change the number of rows that you can view, by the way. You can change it again, increase that to 50. So in this case you'll see the complete search here. So S13, I think that's what we've got these other ones now because so this final set with the filters applied. So that's also there. And what you can also do with this, so this is tracking your search as you're in this particular session. You can also select and download from here. And also, if no longer required, or if you're about to run another search, you can delete this from here as well. Okay, so I can click delete, and you always get this extra box here, this dialog box to confirm that you want to do that. And then I can click delete here. Okay, so again, I won't do that. Let me just do that now. Okay, so that's gone now. Okay. Now, one thing to note is the projects folder. So if I'll click new search here for now, I'll go back to the home page for CINAHL. So again, this will be applicable whether in CINAHL MEDLINE. You have the option, for example, within the save folder, to go to the search and move that to a project folder. So as you can see, I've got different searches I've run over the past few months, where it might be, but it's getting quite lengthy. I can sort them by the most recent or the oldest, but again, I may want to differentiate the search plus the search results from other searches I've run. So what I can do here is I can select this search and I can add it to a project. So a project is your personal custom folder. So you have My EBSCO as your personal folder account, and that allows you to save items as we've been seeing, download them, etc. But now we want to go beyond the standard save folder and create something separate that we are going to identify as a search, or in terms of supporting a particular department or group of people, etc. So you choose the project. If you've created one before, you can choose this list. If you don't have one, you simply create new project and then give it a name. So I'm going to put this one again, which I think I've saved before. Okay, and again, I'll just make sure it's just actually it's fine. I can just choose this one for now. And then if I am working on this, so again, if I'm in the process of supporting review and there's a deadline to meet in terms of generating, running the search, generating results, and then send them on, then I can specify the date. So for example, if I say I've got till the end of February, I can add who it's for. Any comments there I can add, and I can create this project. You'll see confirmation on the top right with these two green bars, and on the left-hand column, if we go to projects now, you'll see we've got this project here. I've got some other projects here already. Okay, so you can go in and click on the project, and then you can view the search here. Notice you can also delete the search from here as well. You can delete it if it's not required. Okay. Likewise, any records you can select if you have any. So what I can do now, if I go back to my search, or actually what I can do also is go to saved, and I can select some of these records. Maybe, let's see, those on this page, right? Which relate to this particular search. I can save those and I can add them to the project. So I just choose the same project, click Add Now. And if I go back to projects again, click on the project itself, I've now got those records also stored there. Notice also I can select these and delete. There's a delete option now, bulk delete. So there is a bulk delete coming for the search history at some point as well. But within the projects folder, you can bulk delete items also within recent activity as well. Okay, you can also export from here as well, as you can see, and then download if necessary as well. So I've got my records here, I've got my searches as well. Now, when you are in a search, so when you are running a search, you can save items directly to a project and not to the folder. So you can bypass the save folder altogether and just save them to the project. So if I go back, and I'm just going to do a shortcut again to my search, if I can bring that up here. And again, I've got my search results here. Okay, so what I can do here, I can select these results. So instead of downloading, sharing, save them, etc., I can just click Add to Project, and I choose the project. Okay, and you might find some of the items I've already saved to that project, so it may not like that. So if I want to do, I click Add Now. Okay, and it's now added those to the project. Okay, so you don't have to save them to the save folder. If you don't need to, you can just create the project and add it to the project. What you can also do, if preferred, you can also click Add to Project, and straight away you can set up a new project from this page as well. Okay, so if you don't have an existing project, you can create one as you're about to save those records. Likewise, if you save them individually, you can also add to a project as well here. So for individual records, as well as citing, sharing, and downloading, you can also add them to a project. Again, you would just select the project that you've created first. Okay, so you may want to even create the project before you begin, even in terms of the subject, the question in relation to this review. You may want to go to the projects folder and then click the plus sign and then create the project up front. Then when you're on the results pages, you can add straight to the project. Okay. So again, it depends on how you want to work this, but there's some flexibility as to what you might do. And again, if you want to delete any of these, you can delete the whole project. For example, here, I can delete the project. I can go into edit the project. So again, I can change the due date, for example. I can now make this also the end of February. Okay. So again, you have those options as well. So I don't see any questions or comments, but I'd be interested to have any feedback or comments about what you've seen just now in reviewing some of those key features. So I may need to go back to PowerPoint just to, as we're still within time. I just want to mention here, of course, while we're here as well, we have got also the help menu as well under research tools. So the online help here currently, from this demonstration, if I click help, it takes you to the quick start guide within EBSCO Connect for the new interface. So anything to do with the new interface, there are frequently asked questions, there are release notes about what's changed recently, and then you'll see various elements such as searching and browsing, using the dashboard. So again, in terms of creating projects, there's a link there which gives you the help sheet, and that details with screenshots the process. So I know it's a lot to take in if you've not seen this before, but you'll see the screenshots are given there, which are fairly self-explanatory. So again, that link takes you to the help pages for the platform, again, whether using CINAHL, MEDLINE, or another database as well. Okay, let's see. So if I go back to my PowerPoint, I just stop sharing here. So we've gone through a live demonstration. So just a reminder, some key points here to be reminded of in terms of using the interface, etc. So you can save, download, or share results using the respective tools. Again, I said there's some future enhancement to increase the number per page. Currently it's 50. That will increase quite considerably, but you still can download, etc. You can also save and download searches for future access, and you can do that both from the search history page and also recent activity, as we saw. And again, a choice of formats, including Word, CSV formats as well. You can export individual records or up to 25,000 records from the result list. You can also use the direct export option within the other areas like saved and projects as well. Okay. Okay, so thanks for that, Samantha. Yes, you're asking about the editing a search string, but you found it. Okay, and also a comment here from Olga. Very happy with the download option for the search of details and the search history in the advanced search mode. That's good. Yeah, I mean that was I know it was long awaited, but it was released back at the end of October. So good to hear that feedback. Thank you for that. So you can create projects and add searches and results. Again, you may want to bypass the save folder, just create a project based on the support, the review that you're supporting, the question you're answering, the evidence search, and add your search and results to the project specifically. Okay. Again, that's your personal folder area, as it were. And also, use the available online help or visit EBSCO Connect for more support information. So I just want to touch on that in terms of training and support. So I have included some of the key links, again, using the bookmark feature for saving items, the exporting of up to 25,000 records, saving searches, creating projects, and using the dashboard. So all these links relate to the new interface. Again, some of you may still be using the classic interface, that's fine. But again, you can become familiar with some of the features that we'll be using in due course. And EBSCO Connect, again, still the main support portal for EBSCO. So connect.ebsco.com. You'll find tutorials on there, handouts, etc. There's the platform roadmap for updates as well, what's happening and coming soon. And in addition to that, as most of you are probably also involved in using a healthcare database like CINAHL and MEDLINE in supporting system reviews, we have this portal, the Healthcare Training Resources Portal, which we created here in the UK, which is designed to collate relevant information about anything to support the use of the healthcare databases such as CINAHL and MEDLINE on the EBSCO platform. So that includes training videos. So this recording, once it's edited, will be posted to the YouTube channel along with others. So again, if you miss a session, if you have to cancel a session, we do have previous recordings that you can go back to. And during they're a bit shorter because we're editing them. Also, the list of upcoming training sessions as well. So there's more to come. And also relevant support information, which could be a handout, user guide, poster, for example, in relation to these resources. And there's also a dedicated link to EBSCO Connect on this page as well. So I will say thank you for your time today, but you can contact me directly at rcrooks@ebsco.com. Otherwise, visit EBSCO Connect for more information. And I'm glad you could join today. Thank you.